So I'm just going to be breaking down how I made Ethereal, which is my first viral song that I've ever made. And the story behind it is kind of crazy too. At this point in my life, I was just pretty much making like West Coast beats for artists. And I just kind of wanted to get out of that box a little bit and make something different. I've always liked future-based music, and I feel like that's what rage beats are. Pretty much like future-based melodies, has those EDM sounds mixed with some trap drums. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with this beat. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit, go step by step into detail with all the individual sounds, all the drums I use, and at the end I have a very special surprise for you guys, so stay tuned. Alright, so when I started making this beat, I pretty much just started out with the chords, and it's a very basic saw synth. So these are the chords that I use for this track. Alright, so for the chords, I just threw it into the mixer track and added some parametric EQ, just took a little bit off the low end, and I did the same with this Fab Filter EQ, and of course just lower down the volume a little bit. After the chords, I just added some leads. So I found this one on Celent. It's like a hardstyle type of plugin. And with this one, I just basically added on top of the chords, just matching the top notes. And you can hear it right here. Pretty much a little counter melody that I just added on top of the chords just to make it a little bit more interesting. And then for that lead, I just threw it into the mixer and honestly just lower the volume. I didn't even add any effects to it. For the second lead that you guys hear, it's also going to be used with Celent. And that one just has a weird squeaky sound towards it. But the melody for this one is a little different than the previous one. And this is how this one sounds. And what I liked about this lead is you can kind of hear the notes bending a little bit. So what I did to make that happen is, and almost every VST has this option, it's this portamento knob right here. And I just put it into mono, the legato, I'm not sure how you say it. But pretty much when you have it down right here, it just sounds not so bendy, but the more that you turn it up, the more bendier it gets. And I just really like that about this lead, so I threw it in there. After that, I threw it into the mixer and just added some OTT, some sound goodizer. You gotta have the sound goodizer in there. And a little bit of some Valhalla, a reverb. And just turn off some of the mix level right here. Just turn that down up to like 50%, I believe. And yeah, just lower the volume. And with all three of those sounds, you get this. Alright, so after I made the melody, I still felt like it was missing something. So I decided to add an ARP just to make the beat a little bit more interesting. And I used the same plugin. I used Celent, and I found this pluck inside of a Hardwell Bank, who is also an EDM producer. And it sounds like this. So for the ARP, I just made it the notes matching the chords, just with a couple different twists in it. And this is how it sounds. And so for the melody and with the ARPs together, you get this. And then for the ARP, I just threw that into the mixer. And same thing, I just added some OTT, some sound goodizer, a little bit of Valhalla reverb, and this Pancake plugin, which pretty much just pans the sound from left to right. I believe that Pancake is a free plugin too, so you guys can go ahead and download that whenever. And then now let's move on to the drums. So with the drums, this could be a little bit unorthodox, but for this one, I started out with the 808 just to match the chords, and this is what I came up with. And so for the 808, I just threw it into the mixer again and didn't add anything to the effects, just lowered down the volume. And I really like this one because it sounds really distorted and just goes along perfect with the chords. After the drums, I just added a simple clap. And for the clap, I didn't add anything special. I just added some reverb to it, some parametric EQ, and a soft clipper, and also lower the volume just a little bit here. After the 808 and the claps, I decided to go along with the hi-hats just to add some bounce to it, and this is how that sounds. And with the 808, the claps and the hi-hat sounds like this. So after I got down with the basics, I just decided to add some more ear candy. So I added an open hat, a snare, and a perk on top of that. So this is how the open hat sounds. And honestly, for this one, I just had the open hat matching every time the 808 hit. Then I decided to add a snare on top of that. And then the last drum that I used was just a percussion with some reverb on it that I got from Real Label's drum kit. And then with all the drums together, you get this. So after the beat was pretty much done, I just decided to make it a little bit more interesting and just add some effects, as you could hear right here. And for these, I just used some EDM effects. And I also like making my beats pretty cinematic, so I added a movie transition where you can kind of hear it building up. And then this part is where I get a lot of controversy. So a lot of people ask why, out of all the drums, I put my kick onto the playlist. I say that it's a sauce, but to be honest, to me, it just sounds more punchier. And I feel like when you put it into the actual pattern right here, it loses some of its thump. So it might just be the volume. I might just be tripping, honestly, but I like putting it into the playlist because it sounds hard and it's a lot easier for me to just kind of work around the volume and edit it and place it where I think sounds fit. So with all the drums together, it sounds like this. And for the kick, I didn't add anything to the effects or the volume, so it's straight out how it is. And I actually use all these drums that are on my down kit, which is coming out pretty soon, Elixir Kit Deluxe. So as you guys can see, the beat is pretty simple. We just use a total of 10 sounds, including the drums and the sounds that I use for the melody. And honestly, like I said from the beginning, this beat is very simple and effective. It just sounds really hard, and like I said, this beat took me about 5 to 10 minutes to make, so it was pretty quick and in the moment. So while I was arranging the beat, I wanted to make it sound a little bit more interesting and not just like a regular beat that you hear artists hop on. So I added a low pass filter into the intro and just kind of had the melody ride out a little bit, and then about 20 seconds into the song, you just hear the whole beat drop. So what I also added in one of the sections was a gate right before the beat drop, and you guys might be able to hear it kind of panning back and forth. And it was this section right here. And the way I got that sound was this trance gate from KHS. You guys can also use Gross Beat. I think you guys can see it right here actually. So on gross beat, you could honestly just go to like to these trance presets and it'll make pretty much the same sound. Yeah, so as you guys can see, the beat is pretty simple. I think I maybe used a total of 10 sounds. And like I said from the beginning, I made this beat in about 5 to 10 minutes. This beat was super simple to make. I feel like I was just in the moment at the time, and just the whole creative process just came together real quick in just one jumble, and that's how Ethereal is made. So all the drums and the sounds that you guys are going to be seeing right here, I've been getting asked about by a lot of you guys. You can find all of these sounds and drums onto my Elixir Kit Deluxe version that is going to be in the link below in the description. So make sure you guys go ahead and cop that. So this kit is going to have a lot of my one shots and some of the serum presets and Salant presets if you guys have those VSTs that I use for this track, as well as some other ones that I've used in my other songs. And if you guys don't have these VSTs, don't worry, I made sure that I made it into a one shot for you guys, so you will be able to use all the chords, the leads, all the synths and everything, especially the ARPs as well. And you guys can find that in the one shot section if you guys don't have the VSTs that I use. Drums, I'm gonna have a lot of 808s for you guys, claps, the effects and transitions, hi-hats, and a lot of you guys been wanting some of my melodies that I've never put out before. I've never showcased or made a beat on top of them, but I do have about 10 to 15 loops in this drum kit that you guys are more than welcome to use royalty free. So I would love to see what you guys make with these loops, get creative with it, and send it to me. I would love to see what you guys can make with it. So if you guys took around to the end of the video, I appreciate every single one of you. You guys literally changed my life overnight. It's so insane to me to think that a beat that I literally made in 5 to 10 minutes blew up overnight, and it's now sitting at about 10.5 million on TikTok, 2.5 million on Spotify, and over 4 million overall streams on all platforms. So big thanks to you guys. I wouldn't be in this position without all of you.